Hi there, my name's Sage from Little Seal Designs, and today I'm going to walk you through how I work through rounds that are very small. So some of my patterns actually have rounds that only have 3 or 4 stitches in them. I've gotten to the point where I actually quite enjoy these rounds, but I know that's not the case for everyone. So I figure if I show how I make them, then that might be able to help some people. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to make my magic circle. So I'm just pull that through, and I'm going to make a round of 3 stitches. Now this is using DK weight yarn, but it is on the thicker side for DK. And I'm using a 2.75 millimeter hook. The first suggestion I'd have, if you're having trouble with these small rounds, is to go up a hook size. That's usually the easiest thing and could give you a bit more spacing. I like to use the 2.75 as I find it's a good balance between nice and tight stitches, but without going too tight and splitting the yarn constantly. So I've got my 3 stitches here. I'm going to pull that tight to close. I'll show you that. So here's the 3 stitches. I will use my stitch marker . So you can count there, 1, 2, 3. I'll insert my hook into that 3rd stitch. Pull through, and again. So I've made my first one. Then go through to count my second. Now, main hint with these is just working very slowly. Alright, now I've made my first round of 3 stitches. I'm going to move my stitch marker to the current loop on the hook. And if you can see in there, it's quite a little sort of tied up bundle. So what I'm going to do to make things easier for the next round, at this point, I'm going to pinch and twist and roll this work until the right side is facing out. There's that. And now I will do another. So insert my hook back into that loop. Now with this, you can see that, so this current stitch right there, sorry about the condition of my nails, this current stitch right there, so we're going to find the next one. That's this loop right here. I'm going to insert the hook and push it through to the middle of the work. Now you can see I've got the whole stitch there. Another thing you can do to try and make this a bit easier is working the front loops only, which can be easier to find and pick up. But I find if I just slowly work the hook, I'll show that again. So get that loop back on the stitch there. Slowly work the hook through to the middle before pushing it up. Then I'm usually going to get those 2 stitches on there. Going to finish that stitch. Another thing which I'm definitely guilty of with this sort of work is if you're concentrating so hard your tension can actually get a lot tighter, which again is another reason why it doesn't really matter if you go up a hook size or something when you're working with these small rounds, as you're probably going to be working quite tightly anyway. So the next stitch is right here. Just push through to the middle, then up. I've got both loops of the stitch on the hook. Through, finish. And the last. Push through to the middle before pushing the hook up. Alright, and that's my next round of 3. And yeah, so another thing you can do, if you're working on a pattern that has these rounds of 3 on it, you can just move it up to 4 in the round, for example, and it's not going to look a whole lot different. It won't look exactly like the pattern, but if that's what helps you get it done, then that's great. And of course, make sure you take care of your hands when you're working with this sort of thing as well. The last thing you want to do is stress with your tension too tight and worried about where to find those spots to put the hook in and end up hurting your hands while you're working on this. I'm going to show one more. So you can see here, I've got the stitch on my hook. That's the stitch I've just worked. Rotate it slightly and you can see kind of this darker gap hole down here. Just push my hook into that spot to the middle of the work. Push it up. I have both parts of the stitch on the hook. Pull it through, again, through, and then once more. And I'll show you, sometimes I do have increases when working in the tight rounds, and so I just do the same as I've done with this. So let's say this stitch here is meant to be an increase, so I've made the first stitch, then I just place the hook back in, again push into the middle of the work before angling the hook upwards, and then pull through as normal. There you go, now it's got 4 stitches on in that round. I hope this helps. I actually find it quite enjoyable now to make these tiny rounds that work up so quickly. But yeah, definitely let me know if there's something else you'd like help or a demonstration with. I'm always happy to help with my patterns. Yeah, thank you and have a great day.